Welcome to Karate 360 Podcast, Episode 9. I'm one of the hosts, Richard Mosdell.
And I'm the other host, Kalan Anglos.
Kalan, how's it going?
Good, Richard. How's it going with you?
I'm fantastic because we have the BC Open Karate Championships registration up and online.
Ready to go.
Ready to go, taking names, taking athletes, and for one of the first time ever, we're using sport data.
Yeah.
So go to the karatebc.org webpage, click on events, click on BC Open, go read the brochure. We're expecting quite a few people to this event.
Yeah.
And I have invited, as of today, about 50 clubs from the United States.
That's great.
And we're just going through inviting clubs from Canada. So Karate BC Open is going to be on December 10th at the Richmond Olympic Oval. Also, this is the biggie, the first ever Canada Open Karate Championships, June 3rd and 4th next year, also at the Richmond Olympic Oval. We should do like an amazing demonstration of like breaking ice and boards and all that kind of stuff. Just break everything.
Yeah.
I was watching this video of a kid in Japan in high school try and break the end of a baseball bat in the middle of a karate tournament as a demonstration. He tried it with one shin and he tried it with the other shin, even with the pads on. Didn't work. So if we do a karate breaking demonstration at the Canada Open, no bats, or I promise that I will have already hacked sod through halfway of it.
Hockey sticks.
Well, I hadn't thought about that. They're double layered. Canada Open Karate Championships, June 3rd and 4th. If you want to know what it's really like to do karate in Japan, I happen to have written a book illustrated by Japan's most famous martial arts illustrator, Genshi Kamobayashi Sensei. And it's called Sunny Leads Volume 1. And just look up Sunny Leads Volume 1 on Google and wham, you will find it.
Also, you can check out our website, karate360podcast.com, as it is also on there.
Fantastic. Let's start the show.
Karate 360, let's start the show. You will kick high and I will sweep low. From local to global, the thing that you love, karate. Sanrokumaru.
That was awesome.
There we go. Took a shot at that one, and here we go. This is episode 9 of Karate 360.
Fantastic.
When I was growing up, 9 was my lucky number.
Oh, why was it your lucky number?
As you know, I'm a Boston Red Sox fan.
Mm-hmm.
Ted Williams is probably the most famous Boston Red Sox fan of all time, and he was number 9. So whenever I was coming up playing, I just always wore number 9, and I just kind of picked that when I was a kid, and it kind of stuck with me. So here we go. This will be a good one.
So for being a karate athlete, then you'd love to have numbers on the back of our gis, huh?
Yes, absolutely. That'd be great. Jersey, like little jerseys with your names on them.
In Japanese, your competition number that goes on your back of your gi is called a zekken.
Zekken?
Zekken, yeah. And
what does that mean?
It basically means number. So
makes sense.
So you'll get a number. You might get their cloth piece of paper that arrives from the event host, and you'll have, let's say, number B27, so your boy's number 27, and that might be in blue or black, and then you'll have B65, and that will be boys 65 in red, and you'll pin them or sew them, or your mom will sew them, the edges of them to the back of your gi, and then those are the division numbers that you're in, so that when you're running around the event arena, everyone can know that that's what you're in.
Yeah, no, that's good. I know we've done that before for at nationals and that kind of thing too. So
Zekken.
Yeah.
The West Coast Open had a really good one. They had one that was printed, and you peeled it off and stuck it on your back. And they actually somehow figured out a way to do it when people's gis get sticky. They come kind of slip off.
Yeah,
but these ones actually stuck on.
No, that's good, because a lot of the times they do. They just come off, especially when you kind of do a quick sew job on them. They don't last, right. Especially in kumite when you're grabbing on and gis are flying all over the place. They don't usually last very long on there.
So you want to, on your registration form, you want to write 9.
That's right. Just make me number 9.
Number 9.
That's right. It's like when we did the fitness testing stuff there with the BC team. We gave them all code numbers, and everybody's just trying to make, reasoning or meaning behind all these numbers. Like, no, it's just your code number. Just remember the code. Like, what does the A mean? What does the B mean? It just means you were group A or you were group B. Like,
that's awesome.
There's no meaning behind it.
It's funny, when you were putting the codes on the athlete, you're writing it with a marker on their hands.
Yes, yeah.
Like big felt marker, right?
Yeah.
And when I was watching this documentary on the Canadian Olympic synchronized swimming team, they were doing tryouts and they were marking their arms exactly the same way in black markers.
Okay, yeah.
So they would remember who they were, and if they're getting too nervous, the organizers could tell.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a pretty common way of doing it, actually, especially for that many athletes, is just writing it down on somewhere where they can just say, oh, I'm this number here. So
When you do your black belt test in Japan, you normally, with hundreds of people, so they give you a cloth, which is like a pocket, and you slide you when you're tying your belt, you slide the cloth and it has a number on one side. And so then when you tie your gi, the cloth is on your left hip. So the number's on the outside, so your number's like 55.
okay.
So then when you're doing your belt test, they just yell your name, 55, and then your number's on your obi,
Sure.
right? And
Yeah.
that's how they find it.
And then you just get up and do your
Yep.
stuff, get down. Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Any good week? Good week? Something happen?
Well, this week has just been, well, as you know, we sent out all that fitness test data to everybody, so just getting feedback from that. That's been very positive, actually. A lot of the parents and a lot of the athletes writing saying, this is all great that we have all this, and how do we improve on all these tests and that kind of thing. So yeah, it's been kind of getting that organized and getting that all out to everybody. But no, it's definitely been good, and like I said, it's been mostly positive so far, so that's really good.
I think it has been positive, and as we said to the people, because I wrote the message, you did all the work. I just wrote 4 lines. Look at the results and talk to your club instructor.
Yes, yeah,
That's first.
that's the first step.
First
totally.
step. Look at your results, talk to your club instructor, and talk about them. And you've already received information from some club instructors who've actually made a plan about how to improve their test scores,
Totally, yeah.
how to improve their fitness, right?
Yeah.
So talk to your club instructor. Then figure out what you're going to do and what you have time for, what you have money for.
Yes.
Then if you're stuck, contact Coach Kalan.
Let me know.
Let you know, and he'll give you some advice on what you can do.
Yeah.
Now, some of the things I wrote down. Now, I wrote these things only because you said them. These are the things I should write down. Think about improving aerobically and or anaerobically.
Yes. Yeah.
Think about improving lower body and or upper body power.
Yes.
And you can give people some advice. But if they want lots of advice, then contact someone who's local to them that could do strength and conditioning training, or contact you and talk to you about how you can help them.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, pretty much everybody that's got a hold of me so far is excited to do their end of season testing as well. They want to see, and that's good, because the most important thing is, of course, you want to see. I mean, a lot of the times they're comparing themselves to everybody else, even though they can't see the names. You can see all the other numbers on the sheet, so they're comparing them to all those numbers and the averages and the reports, all that I gave them, when really they should be focusing on their number and improving their number on the postseason testing or the end of season testing, because really, I mean, you're only as good as your next score, so you really have to just focus on improving your own score and recognizing how that can be done.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. And you had mentioned one of the things they can do is do the test over and over to get used to it.
Yes, yeah.
And what we should do is we should put in the field fitness test video that you made.
Yeah.
We should put it in the posting for this episode.
Sure, yeah.
So then, because they just have to go out and do it over and over again, that can be a workout.
Yeah. That's one of the best ways to get better at fitness testing, is to just familiarize yourself with the fitness testing. I think we talked a little bit about that last week. But yeah, we have a video that shows you how to do it. We have the manual. So just practice those in the club. And I know we do it here at Kenzen, and you do it quite often, is using the tests as an actual workout.
Yeah.
You can do the shuttle run, just do the shuttle run 10 times. There it is. Next one, do the medicine ball throw 10 times. Throw this 10 times. There you go. It's one of the best ways to get better at a fitness test, is just do them.
Yes, absolutely.
Every time you do, if you're doing a gold standard treadmill VO2 max test, the first time you do it, you will do better the second time, regardless if you do it, an hour later, just because you know how it is, you know the procedures, you know what to expect, you know how far you can get and how far you can push yourself. So, I fully expect that most people will improve on the end of season testing. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I'm looking forward to seeing people start doing some of this testing and then training to improve their test who are not competing.
Yeah, absolutely.
People coming along going, okay, how can I do something?
And that's the good thing about the field test too, is that we're putting together is yes, it is sort of meant to be used to prepare yourself for the kind of the level 2. Actually, the level 2 is the field test. The level 1 is the club test. the level 1 club test is to prepare you for the level 2 field test, but there's no reason why you can't just use the level 1 club test in your club on your athletes, whether they're going to be competing athletes or not. I mean, these are for all karate performance, whether it's kata, kumite, basics, whatever. If you're going for your belt test, you still need to be physically fit. So
Absolutely.
it absolutely applies to that as well.
You still have to get me doing that VO2 thing.
The VO2, we'll get you for sure. We should get you doing a Wingate too.
Oh, Wingate.
A Wingate.
What is a Wingate?
That's like the gold standard anaerobic power test. So
Okay.
for us, we do, for anaerobic power for lower body, we just do a vertical jump, but you can also do a Wingate, which is just pretty much 30 seconds of hell is all that is.
I'm up for it.
Yeah.
Even if I'm not moving too fast, I'm up for it.
That's okay. Usually you have a puke bucket on standby, but it's great. It's pretty much you just go as hard as you can for 30 seconds on a cycle ergometer and see how much power you output.
I can't wait. you just sold it. The puke bucket just sold it.
Let's do it. We'll get you doing one of those VO2 max test, and no, it'll be good.
Well, hey, before we dive more into the show, we got to talk about the orange-haired elephant in the room.
Was there something that came up with an orange-haired elephant?
Well, there's definitely orange skin, crazy comb over haired person who's going to take over the world here.
Yes, there is.
Now, when you hear this podcast, it's going to be Monday morning, November the 14th. But we are now sitting 48 hours after Donald Trump has become president-elect of the United States. And you're probably sick of hearing election news and people's opinions. And every opinion you hear is going to be different from the opinion you heard an hour before.
But we're going to give our opinion.
We're going to give our opinion, exactly. But there is a karate angle. What? Richard, did you just say there's a karate angle to this?
Yes.
And actually, we didn't even have to Google for it because, and I'm sure there are people out there in their karate clubs, and we run an after-school program where we get to interact a lot with the kids, quite not just in karate, talking to them and guiding them and mentoring them, because we are, in a sports analogy, our club's like a tennis academy or a soccer academy, right? So when with the after-school program, kids were getting in the van, and I heard comments, everything ranging from the world's going to start burning, Donald Trump's going to start World War III, all the white people are going to stay in the United States, and all the non-white people are going to try and get out of the United States. I've heard all kinds of, and some of that stuff, kids were just repeating what they had heard at school.
Yeah.
They're repeating frustrations they had heard from parents at home.
Sure.
And when you get them all together, I heard some pretty hilarious, there's at least two songs that kids had about Donald Trump already that they were singing in the van that kids had made up at school, or maybe their older brothers or sisters who were teenagers had heard.
I called home and talked to my little sister, 10 years old, and she said, we were just kind of talking about what's new. She says, "Oh, Donald Trump did you hear about Donald Trump?" I said, "Yeah, did you hear about Donald Trump? Like, what did you hear?" She goes, "Well, he's the president." I said, "Well, what does that mean?" And she said, "We're in trouble."
Yeah, exactly. So, so we had to, and obviously other people are hearing about this or talking about this, like, what do you say to your kids? So what do you say in a karate club? So the first thing I started thinking about was the karate club is a safe place.
Yeah.
I remember talking to a counselor after the Japanese earthquake in March 2011. And my daughter had been at the hospital for a checkup with the family. And the whole building obviously was shaking for like 2.5 minutes. And they have these really heavy metal doors, sliding metal doors that were slamming back and forth. And so she was having nightmares of that after that. And so the counselor had said, kids need to feel safe before they feel loved. So you could say, you love you, but it's really what they need to do is feel safe.
Yes.
So what children are feeling right now is some insecurity or some anxiety.
Yeah.
When their parents are?
Sure. Put on them maybe by their parents or by their older siblings or whatever.
Yeah, their peers or teachers or whatever. So I said, okay, the dojo is a safe place. We have a rule. When you walk into the dojo, we're thinking about karate.
Yes.
We're chatting with each other to relax, just like you do in any sort of sport academy. Relax, shake the day off. Doesn't matter what happened at school, what happened at home. Let's relax, have our snacks, do some activities, and then dive into training and get it done.
Right.
And so that was number one. And second is and the kids really are the ones who came up with this, is that we have to be nice to each other. And we have to concentrate on being nice to each other.
Yes.
The other one is Donald Trump isn't the president right now.
No.
There's still 10 weeks away or 11 weeks away. And the kids were talking about, people say things to get people to like them, in this case, politicians to vote for them, that may not necessarily mean that's exactly what's going to happen.
Yes. And I think the other important thing to remember, too, is, yes, he's the president, or he is going to be sworn in as the president, but he still has people to answer to. He's still got the Senate that he's got to go through. So, as much power as maybe the president we think has, he's got to take some steps before any of those things that he says would actually happen. So,
yes. Hopefully he'll be tempered. Okay, we got to be careful here. You guys are probably overloaded on this.
Yeah.
But, Arakawa Sensei, after the 2011 earthquake in Japan, he did this thing where he had trainings in the morning and in the afternoon, because school was closed for 3 weeks.
Right.
So in the mornings and afternoons, he put on karate trainings, no extra charge, and just stay positive.
Yeah.
Like, let's train.
Think about karate.
Let's move forward in our, the average person only is really existing within like 4 or 5 kilometers of their house on a daily basis anyway.
Yeah.
And just train and move forward. So that's what we've tried to do here. I will tell you that, and we're on the west coast of North America here, I was coming out of each class as it was ending during that night, the election night, and looking at the parents going, "Hey parents, how's it going?" And they're like, right at 5 o'clock, they're like, "Doesn't look, it's just weird. He's already ahead and it's weird." I'm like, "Okay." And then come out like an hour later. "So parents, how's it going?" And some people are almost in tears, like, "He's ahead." And then come out the next, like at the end of the night, "So how's it going?" And some people didn't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about it. And so, yeah, we'll see. So from a karate perspective, let's keep training, keep positive, keep moving forward. We've got some really great friends in the United States.
Yeah.
And let's go on to the next thing.
Keep moving forward, just like everything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's a good segue for our kiai-outs. I want to give a kiai-out to Arakawa Sensei. Takamasa Arakawa Sensei, basically my best Japanese karate friend, just went for knee surgery. Yes, his knee's been bothering him for a while. So he went for knee surgery. He's in the hospital for about a week. And this is probably the longest Arakawa Sensei has had to be in one place since he started to walk.
Now he's forced to stay
down. Yeah. And in one of the messages on his Facebook page is, "Okay, I'm packing up all my desktop computers." Because obviously he was going to go just work. To him, I'm just going to work. So, there's pictures of him, spending his time in the hospital. He'll be there for a week and then some rehabilitation after. And Arakawa Sensei is like me. We both love ice cream.
Okay. I also am one to love ice cream.
Well, we'll get along well then.
Perfect.
Because we would train. Like a lot of people go for beer after, right? We don't, exactly after training, we don't really drink that much beer.
Sure.
Right? But we will. In Japan, you can get these little, you can get them here, but they're like $1 cups of ice cream.
Okay, yes.
Yeah. And so we're like,
little wooden spoons.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm like, "Hey, you want to go?" And he's like, yeah, let's go. And then, we almost always go for dinner after training.
Sure.
And the end we're like, "You got a little, little taste of vanilla?" We'd ask the waitress, like, little, just a little. She's like, "Of course I do." And I'm like, okay. So in Japan, you'd send your boss gifts at summertime.
Okay.
I know it sounds weird, but it happens. And so I'd always, even though it wasn't really my boss, even though I was teaching there and hanging out with him, I would send him this huge, crate of ice cream. Every time, or my wife would send it, and it would pack up his tiny freezer, because in Japan they don't really use freezers. And of course he was very happy. So yeah. So Arakawa Sensei, o daiji ni, which means get well soon. And get healthy so we can see you here in 5 months.
And hopefully people are bringing you lots of ice cream.
Exactly. Actually, I wrote to him in Japanese. I said, Byoin de ice o tabete hoga ii to omou, which means I think it's a good idea to eat ice in the hospital. He wrote back. He goes, every night.
That's funny. Well, let's get into a little bit of Karate Global News. Okay, so last week we kind of wrapped up, or we didn't wrap up, but we talked a little bit about the WKF World Championships. We went over all the medals and what each individual athlete kind of got on their divisions.
This is huge. Only happens every 2 years.
That's
Sorry,
right.
I just had to throw that in there.
Yeah. It was big. And I know we posted some of the stuff on our website as well. So check that out or check out the WKF website. But yeah, what we wanted to do this week and what we kind of ran out of time last week is we didn't actually go over the nation medal counts in the 2016 World Championships, which again were in Linz, Austria, just a couple weeks ago. So we want to kind of talk about that. We want to talk about where the nations all stood in terms of how they did this year and compare it to how they did in the last World Championships, which was again 2 years ago in 2014.
Drum roll, please. Dun, 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 dun.
So let's first talk a little bit about this year. So in this year's World Championships, the first ranked nation was Japan. Japan got 6 gold medals, 2 silver medals, and 1 third place finish for a total of 9 medals. And the second ranked nation was France. France got 3 gold medals, 2 silver medals, and 4 bronze medals. So they also got 9 medals as well. And the third ranked was Iran. Iran got 3 golds and 3 bronze. And then fourth was fourth was Egypt, who got 1 gold, 2 silvers, and 2 bronze. And then
let's stop there. Let's
I just want to touch on Azerbaijan, who got 1 gold, 1 silver, and 1 bronze. And the reason why I wanted to get to them is because they did not get any medals in the 2014 World Championships. They weren't even in the top. They didn't get a single medal, so they bumped all the way up to 5th this year. So a big jump for them.
So 2014 was Japan, Egypt, France, Turkey, Germany.
Yes.
This year was Japan, France, Iran, Egypt, Azerbaijan.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so Japan at the top for both of them. Egypt and Iran were both also high up there as well. United States had 1 third place bronze in this year's 2016 World Championships.
All right. How about I do the top 10 really fast for 2014? 2014 was Japan, Egypt, France, Turkey, Germany, Iran, Italy, Spain, Brazil, 10th place, Georgia.
And 2016 was first Japan, second France, Iran, Egypt, Azerbaijan, Austria, England, Spain, and then Denmark, Morocco, Netherlands, Greece, Brazil, and Hungary all also tied for 9th.
So Japan and France stay in the top 3. When you look at these results, there's a couple things that start popping up, especially for this year. Well, first, Japan took a lot of medals.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, obviously they swept kata, so there's 4 right there. The second thing you notice is that if you won a single gold medal, like Austria and England, 6th and 7th place, a single gold medal and no other medals was high enough in points to pull you into the top 10.
Yeah.
So that's quite significant.
Yeah, because if you look at Italy had 4 bronze, but they had no silver and no gold, and they were ranked 15th. Even though they had 4 overall medals, which is actually more than the 4th place fifth place Azerbaijan, who only had 3 medals.
Mm-hmm. And the other thing here is, there's lots, and we can unpack quite a bit of this. Would you actually think, are any countries on this list or not high up enough on this list? Like, if you were to think of another sport, let's say soccer, then you would be looking at Brazil to be up higher.
Yes, and that's what I was just thinking, was Brazil seems to be a little bit low there and tied for 9th. They only had 1 silver medal. Compared to 2014, they actually had a gold medal and a third place finish. They were 9th as well in 2014.
Antonio Diaz, he's from Venezuela.
Yep.
Had he won, instead of taking a bronze, would have taken him up. instead his country's at 16th place. I think another thing on this list is how many of these countries are post-conflict countries or in conflict countries.
Yes.
So Japan, France, Iran, Egypt, Azerbaijan, Austria,
That's the top 6.
England, Spain, kind of Denmark. They're all post-conflict countries, which means that they've all within the last 70 years suffered from a war and are still suffering from the consequences of it. You know? Now some, when you say suffering, are still dealing with it. For example, Japan, France are quite rich countries now, but they're definitely post-conflict countries. Japan having, still 55,000 U.S. troops in it. France, you have to go in the army, after you graduate from high school. Iran, you have to go in the army. Egypt, Azerbaijan, And so do post-conflict countries create a climate where fighting is expected? Because, karate now is like boxing. We've talked about this in the past.
Yes, and they do talk about that a lot with the top boxing athletes too, is they're all conflict situations or conflict countries for sure.
Where fighting is important, where, not every country can be classified as a post-conflict country. But when you look down the list, almost every country can have something in there. Netherlands, not so much. Well, Brazil has many internal conflicts. Hungary is post-communist country. Italy, Venezuela is under a lot of internal conflict right now. So does that create a climate where fighting is acceptable, or that you even need to be able to fight? So these results are quite interesting. Also on these results, the para-Olympic medals aren't counted because I know Canada has 2 and we're not listed. Also, the list of countries that won this time, now we talked about this last time, the list of countries that won this time is significantly longer. In 2014, there is about 20 countries that won medals, where this time it's around 25. And half of the people who won medals on this list hadn't won any medals before. So, quite interesting.
Interesting stuff coming up. So it'll be interesting to see in a couple of years, in 2018, where all these nations kind of lie, who goes up, who goes down. So,
and will this top 10 be similar when karate is in the Olympics for 2020?
That's a good question too.
So there's a Craig Devlin, who is one of the coaches here at Kenzan, was saying that anybody who's going to be going to the 2020 Olympics is probably somewhere in the system of their national team now. Because it takes that long to develop. So we could be looking at this list here for 2016 of athletes, could be the pool that we will be seeing as half or more than half. Who'll be representing who'll be going to the Tokyo 2020 games. And there's only 80 of them. Wow, interesting stuff. And how this is all, for people who don't compete, you might think this is interesting, but now that karate, and I've already gone into these meetings, as you know, as a high performance director here in BC, with representatives from the government who provide money to sport organizations. And karate's a shiny new kid on the block.
Totally, yeah.
And so, there are this is a very common way of thinking, but, should money be going to high performance coaches who will spend 10 or 15 hours of their week working on high performance and 10 or 15 hours of their coaching week working on intro recreational classes for people who won't compete? Will buildings be built, rooms be built, where in the morning you've got the high performance group going in the afternoon it's the little kids going in. So this can really affect how lots of us can enjoy being in karate. And I think especially people who go like, we're looking for a dojo, we've been stuck in a church hall, we don't have it, we can't really go anywhere. This is now the time to start talking to recreation centers. To start talking to universities, to start talking to high schools about, hey, you ever thought of having like a karate studio and how it can be used?
Absolutely, anywhere. And I know something that we've talked about in the past too is trying to get in Canada at least, or in North America, karate to be a varsity sport, trying to get it into a university of some sort.
I think that's a really interesting idea, especially if we could get like 6 teams, six universities in North America. And then have them be competing against each other.
Actually, that works in right into what we wanted to talk about next. So we were talking, obviously, about the WKF World Championships, and I know we have a little bit of a resolution coming about some of the referees and judges at the WKF and world level that maybe you could talk a little bit about and kind of divulge into that.
Okay, so resolution came out from the WKF that we have heard it is public knowledge and we can repeat it.
Yep.
So this just in, October 5th, 16th. Dear referees and judges, coming straight at you as a follow-up of the previous communication in relation with the policy of the presence of WKF officials in karate event. Please be advised that slight changes apply to the resolution. Kindly find below the final applicable resolution as of 1st January 2017. Resolution. Bolded in yellow, becoming effective on the 1st of January 2017, referees and judges holding WKF or continental licenses may not officiate international karate tournaments unsanctioned by the WKF that do not follow WKF competition rules or that by their name can be confused with world or continental championships by using names containing the word world or naming the continent. Above does not apply to single-style tournaments provided that these, and don't miss this point, are not named, you guessed it, world or continental championships or, that's right, it's coming right back at you, world or, and I got to say it, continental cups. Yes.
So what does all that mean?
What the heck is that? All right. So let's unpack this pseudo-legalese. Didn't we just talk about karate being the shiny new Olympic sport?
We did.
And that, wow, we really led into this well, haven't we?
Just like we planned.
Yeah, well planned out. That government funding and sporting agencies are confused when there are many karate tournaments with the title World or Cup used in them that are not the official now. It's recognized, obviously, well, since 1999, official WKF World Championships.
Yes, like calling something a Victoria World Cup or something like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
You and I could technically right now have a World Championships hosted in our club.
Sure.
And
have 6 people show up.
We could send emails to all around the world.
Yeah.
And then you and me go and fight and we give each other prizes.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm sure everybody listening to this knows exactly what we're talking about. That your style, like last year, I was at the Wadokai World Cup 2015 in Nagoya, Japan, with the Canadian team, and I think there was 34 teams. By the way, next podcast, I should tell you about the request we made to the Wadokai.
Oh, yeah?
Yep.
Yeah.
Remind me about that. I'll write that down. So they don't want people being confused by seeing the title World out there. There is a World Goju Kai tournament next year in Vancouver. And there's a fantastic group of people. I know the people from the Hanbu, the head office in Japan, and I know the people here. They're awesome. They're great. And they may, after this come out, I guess what they are thinking, and I don't know what they're thinking, but they might have to think that they might have to take the word world out of it. Because the WKF is saying that if you're a WKF licensed or continental WKF licensed referee, as in like PKF, Pan American, or AKF, Asia Karate Federations or something, then you'll lose your license if you go to one of these unsanctioned events that have the word world in it so that we don't confuse people.
Yeah.
What do you think, Kalan?
Well, I think they're trying to obviously clear up what's constituted as a world championship, or if somebody's going to a world level or something like that. So I think it's good. I think it's a little bit much saying you can't referee or you can't judge at these things, because I think most judges and referees in the WKF system, they go to many tournaments. So yeah, it's interesting for sure, but I think it makes sense from an outsider's perspective for sure.
Yeah, I think it's from someone outside of the karate world looking in, they would get confused.
Yes.
From inside the karate world, would your loyalty be higher or stronger with your style association? If you're really into the loyalty thing.
Yes.
And when I say that, I mean it in the sense that you should be able to be free to work in different areas, while at the same time, you should be supporting the organization that's been helping you grow, and not if it makes sense, you know. Now, the JKA Shotokan group, which is very large, called the Kyokai, in short is Kyokai in Japanese, they have every 2 years a world championship.
Right.
And I think they call it the Funakoshi Cup. And I could be wrong about this, sometimes they have it inside of Japan and sometimes they have it outside of Japan. Gichin Funakoshi 14th Junior Karate World Championship Tournament. Ah, there's the word world. August 18th, 2018, Ireland. Gichin Funakoshi Cup 14th Karate World Championship Tournament. August 19-20, 2017, Ireland, from the JKA headquarters. So they're using the word world, which now the JKA, this is a whole different story, whether the JKA is in the WKF and JKF system anymore. That's a different story.
Whole other podcast.
Whole other podcast. Yeah. And and this year it says the Funakoshi Cup was held in the Netherlands. But world. So, memorial or a city or an open. You can obviously have a national championships.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting where this goes. And it makes sense.
Okay, well, let's just talk a little bit now about a little bit of tactical in the karate world.
What makes a good karate instructor? Part 1. Kalan, any thoughts?
Well,
Just general?
they should be a good karate practitioner. So I was going to say they should be a black belt, but I don't think that's necessarily true. I don't think they need to be a black belt. But, because you can have senpais who are senior instructors, but I think they need to be competent in karate.
Yes. Yeah, for sure. Should you be doing something? Now, it's interesting thing because Usain Bolt, fastest man in the world,
Yes.
100 meter, 200 meter. His coach was never a track and field guy,
No.
He
He just knew how to coach
Yes.
runners. Yeah.
but there is more modeling required in karate than there is in track and field.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, you should be good, or you should at least be competent at what you're doing. And I like that word because I say part 1 because we could literally go to part 10,000.
Yeah, of course.
So let's not blow it out of the water here. So I want to talk about safe and competent. And here, let's just use an example. There are 2 restaurants. Both serve food which is safe to eat, but the taste is different. You can go into each restaurant, have a meal, and one, you quite like it, and maybe your body feels great after it. The other one, it wasn't so good.
Yeah.
Even if the plates were nice or the staff was amazing or something, but the actual quality of the food, not so good. But neither one will send you home sick. So that's safe and competent,
Yes.
right? But not quality.
Yes. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So the market will decide what it means, because if you think about it, there are no black belts are equal. A shodan, a first degree black belt in one organization doesn't really match a shodan in another organization.
Sure. Even 2 shodans in the same organization often don't match.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So this, I think, is something where, if you're talking about who's a certified, legitimate black belt, some people go back to lineage charts about where their karate was learned from.
Yes. Yeah.
And I think that definitely has a place if you're saying, I'm teaching karate, and actually you're not teaching in karate, And I think maybe before Taekwondo got in the Olympics in 1988, when karate was more popular than Taekwondo for a while, people called it karate, were teaching something else.
Sure.
They're just using the karate boom from the 1980s to
Yes.
attract attention.
Sure.
But after Taekwondo got in the Olympics, there's less concern. There's more differentiation in the market.
Yeah.
So now, how do we all get into a karate club? We by chance bump into one through a friend or something, There's a famous karate club in the Wadokai system in Japan called Guseikai, and it basically means like a serendipitous way where we all by chance bumped into each other and joined the karate club.
Yeah.
So for being a karate instructor, like I think that the quality of the program that you create and how that quality of that program grows and how you keep people is part of being a good instructor, and then how your karate club interacts with the mainstream karate world and how well the people who come from your club interact with the mainstream karate world.
Yes.
Both in competition, but also both just as human beings working in same organization.
Sure.
So I guess the thesis here of this part 1 is that you have to be safe and competent first, and then grow as a black belt to offer something better over time.
Yes.
But not every instructor will be equal. Does that make sense?
It absolutely makes sense. And I think it goes back to what we talked about before, where, kids want to feel safe rather than feeling loved. Well, they want to feel safe, obviously, with their instructor as well. And they don't necessarily, I shouldn't say they don't care, but I don't think the onus is so much on how skilled an instructor is or how good they are at doing kata or kumite. They want to feel safe in their club, and that what the person is teaching them is, actually helpful and is actually good for them.
Yes.
So, I think that absolutely makes sense.
Everybody's gone for the beer after karate and going round for round about who's kata, who's sensei, which lineage is better, who isn't, how dare you. Now I've had, and I'm sure you've bumped into this as well, but I've very senior people tell me that senior person on the other side of the floor ain't worth their salt.
Yeah.
I've had funny situations where there was an 8th dan and a 7th dan, and they were teaching this, we were doing seishan, and the 7th dan was teaching it. And the 8th dan was looking at it, walked over and goes, no, he's got it all wrong. You need like another 40 years to get to my level. And then said, no, and these guys are traveling together. Yeah. It's not only the same group, same organization, same club, and they're traveling together. So people can go round for round about what really karate is. And for sure, some people will be doing karate and it's wonky.
Yeah.
It's wonky. I'll do a seminar and people will move forward and they'll say, this is how people move forward in Shotokan. And like that doesn't look like Shotokan. Or they'll say, this is how they move forward in Wado. It's like, oh, that doesn't really look like Wado. But then, doesn't matter. It's what they do in their club made them happy. As they interact more with the outside world, hopefully they'll become a better instructor as they find out there's more ways of learning.
Yeah.
But, for all those people who bump into a karate club by accident and then we, provincial or state or national karate organizations have to certify those people. I think we have to slowly get away from worrying about where exactly their black belt came from and concentrating on are they safe and competent and let the market decide.
Yeah, absolutely.
Who starts a karate club? If you really think about it, it's young people normally start a karate club.
Yeah.
Like I was teaching on a regular basis when I was a green belt and I was like 15 years old, just because I couldn't find a black belt to run the class. So young people, I think everybody just off the top of my head right now, before they bought a house, before they had kids, before they get married, they just started teaching karate because they were passionate about,
teaching karate.
They enjoyed it. It lit up parts of their brain. There are people out there that maybe should not be teaching karate, but there's people out there who should be teaching diving or something.
Exactly. Yeah.
So for me, the thing is, are they safe and competent, and then will they build a program? Will quality build from there?
Yes.
I want to have more. Well, would like to see more inclusion in the karate world, where we think about how to be safe and competent and work together.
Yes.
Especially if we're going to go to events and see other people. So that's just part 1 of a longer conversation. And we'd love to hear some thoughts from you guys about what makes a good karate instructor. Because obviously you have to be caring and passionate, and there's a whole list of things about, I haven't even started talking about, or we haven't started talking together here about how they should approach the training.
Yes.
How they should think about their students, how they should get students, how they should keep students, how they should not beat the students, or that's part 2 to 300.
Yeah. And we'll get into it. And
one step at a time.
Again, if you guys have anything input on what makes a good karate instructor, let us know.
Let's do a karate training tip before we do a karate culture thing.
Okay, so this week's karate training tip. Well, one thing that we like to do, and actually I believe it was in the book that we both read, Win or Learn by John Kavanagh. I
Love that
talk
book.
about this. Yeah, great book. But they talk about teaching for karate instructors or anything, and this is a good training tip, is teaching the why before the how. So that's something that I always talk about, is why are we doing something before how do we actually do it? Because you need to understand the reasoning before you actually know how to do it. So with that in mind, we've been talking a lot about, and I know we've been kind of modifying our warm-up and cool-down protocols here at Kenzan a little bit. We talked a little bit last week about what a proper warm-up, stretching, and that kind of thing. So what I want to talk about with you, and what I want to ask you is, what do you think are the benefits of a warm-up? Now, of course, keeping in mind that I am a kinesiologist and that I like to dig into the physiology of it. But why do we warm up the body? Why does the body have to be warmed up before we can actually perform? What do you think?
I think there are three things. One is we will definitely perform better when the body is warmer. When it's warmer, we'll be looser.
Okay.
Okay.
What do you mean by looser?
Okay, like I'm a really good example of this. Like, I need to stretch for 20 minutes and actively stretch, and then I can get a split.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
So I'm not going to have fun kicking and punching until my body's warmer, my heart rate's warmer, that sort of thing.
Yes. We call that pliability. So your joints become more pliable.
Fantastic.
Yeah, and it's because the synovial fluid in your joints is all warmed up, but that's a kind of different thing.
Pliability because of the
synovial fluid
in
your joints.
In my joints.
So yes, that happens when your body temperature increases. So yes, when you increase your body temperature.
Okay, great. Good thing I said something, okay?
Yeah. So there's one. What else?
Two, I like the mental zen of a warm-up. That hey, whatever happened before this class and however you got here, you worry about it after.
Yes.
So we are going to bring you into the training by taking you through this mental set of exercises that aren't too strenuous, that gets more strenuous.
Sure. That
isn't actually yet karate.
Yes.
Two, then it is karate.
Yes, and I think that's absolutely one of the benefits of doing a warm-up, getting things started. In the physiology world, we wouldn't really necessarily talk about getting in the Zen mode. What we would say probably is that your brain is releasing endorphins.
Mm-hmm.
But absolutely, I agree that there is something going on when you warm up or you start anything and kind of get going, where your brain kind of switches and says, okay, here we go. We're doing this now.
Yeah, because psychologically you have to, it's like anything, teachers in a class don't just smack, kids don't walk in and go, we're reading Chaucer now.
Yeah.
Right? Or with little ones in a class, your brain needs to adjust to what's happening, the environment,
totally,
why you're here.
Yes.
And a warm-up also helps take care of all the little, kids are always like, it's my birthday. Yesterday my tooth fell out. And we're talking about smaller ones now. But as you get into the warm-up, people start shaking that out. Their brain starts going in the right way.
Yes.
And I think, for me, maybe the third one is I use the warm-up to test the temperature of the room.
Okay.
I'm using the warm-up with the batch of people I have in front of me, big or small, young or old, to know what type of atmosphere they're already creating. Are they sleepy? Do they not want to be here? There's always going to be those mood makers, in Japanese, mood maker, that will influence the crowd.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And I'm using the warm-up to find out where this group is at. And can I go more intense, less intense? Where is it at? Instead of just diving into karate training.
Sure.
And so for me, it's three things. It's the increasing the pliability.
Very good.
It's getting the students to stop thinking about everything that was going on and think about what's in this room.
Sure.
Creating the funiki, the atmosphere of the training. And the third is for me as an instructor is to test the temperature of the world, see who I'm here, and I will modify the lesson for who's in the room.
No, I think that's great. Just adding those things in, absolutely.
He said that's great. Thank you very much. Thank you for listening.
It's over. And we're done.
We're done.
No, yeah. Obviously you've been teaching karate a long time, and I think those are all really, really great things and things that maybe some people don't often think about, but absolutely, especially that last third point there where you're kind of testing the waters of the group and kind of seeing where everybody's at. And even in a one-on-one thing, you can do the exact same thing. Where's somebody's head at? You can kind of see through the warm-up, how much energy are they putting out? What kind of energy, so to speak, are they kind of putting out? And how do they kind of feel going about that? So, I believe those are all good answers, I would think.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome. And in the physiology world, of course, we talk about the increased pliability. We talk about increasing your heart rate, which, of course, increases your blood flow, increases your body temperature. But those are all physiological things that people maybe don't think about so much. It just kind of happens.
No, for sure. Well, I know that if I go out on the stationary bike for 20 minutes, I just flop into a split.
Yeah.
But if I don't, it's like creaking the gates.
Yes.
So my heart rate goes up, blood flow goes up, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I like when we talked about last class and, and what we talk about, I go out and do it.
Yeah.
Like we're doing it for a whole week,
Yeah.
like we've been blasting through. I've been doing these gymnastic stretches, which has just been really great for the class at the end too, following your advice to more static at the end.
Sure. Yeah.
So, where you you're sitting on one knee and you got one leg extended in front of you and you're just leaning forward and stretching.
Yeah.
And you plant it, pick your body up, arch and stretch and push into your hip.
Yes.
And go back between the two of them every 30 seconds, which is like, what's his name? There's a famous Carlos, famous gymnastics coach that I follow on Twitter. He does the same thing, but he holds it for 4 minutes.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
No, we've been using it. So what else about a warm up? What else should I be thinking about then?
Well, in terms of the physiology, things that maybe we don't think about. So all those things that kind of help you get into your splits, get into your stuff, all those reactions, there are things going on in your body. And by increasing the body temperature, you can actually increase those reactions. So I'm talking more specifically about the enzymes and that kind of stuff. So every reaction in your body has an enzyme that catalyzes it.
Mm-hmm.
By increasing the body temperature, you'll actually increase the activity of those enzymes. So the things happen even quicker. So that's why your muscles can fire quicker. That's why everything, your brain actually fires quicker when you're warmed up. So those are just kind of physiological things that happen as well.
So now when I'm in Japan, and you'll notice this when you're there, especially in the summer 6 months, it's hot and it's humid. Sure. I feel like I heal really fast, like much faster than in Canada. And
Sure.
we're not in the cold part of Canada.
Like, are you talking like a sickness or like a cut or?
No, like training fatigue.
Yes.
Will I won't feel as fatigued as longer after.
Yep. Heat shock therapy is a thing.
Heat shock. No, like with cuts and stuff, it's humid there, so those would take the same amount of time, if not longer, to heal.
Yes.
But
but recovering from exercise, absolutely.
Yeah, I felt like I could recover a lot faster.
Yep. Heat shock. You have heat shock proteins in your body, and by increasing the temperature just outside, it increases your internal temperature, which shocks these heat proteins, and it does speed up kind of all your recovery processes. That's why they say, sitting in a sauna is really good after a workout, 20-minute workout, 20 minutes sitting in the sauna will actually help recover you even better. And by repeatedly doing that, it's actually been proven the repeated use of a sauna, and I can post an article on that, will actually make you less likely to get sick, to get a cold.
Oh, wow.
Because your body just is constantly recovering from any kind of small infections that it might have had or anything.
That's interesting.
So yeah, absolutely. Heat shock therapy is a thing.
When you talked last week about go from a general to a more specific warm-up,
Yep.
We did it all week.
Yeah.
We did it all week.
Good.
We were doing like
As you
lights
should.
jog and then skipping. And then by the end of 5 minutes, I was timing it on the clock. And then we were doing like sparring drills and we were doing the running.
Yeah.
Oh, wait,
Perfect.
what do we call it? Mountain climbers. Mountain climbers up.
Get it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. They're activated.
Good.
They're looking at me like, what's going on? I'm like, it's happening.
Yeah. That's funny. That's great. So there we go. That's this week's karate training tip. I guess not so much of a training tip, just more of a training discussion, I guess.
Pliable.
The joints become more pliable because of the synovial fluid.
So with yoga stretching, they do a lot of static stretching, but then people really enjoy stretching hot yoga.
Yes. A little bit different, but
A little
bit different in terms of the actual approach to how they do it. I mean, most, and I'm not a yogi by any means, but most traditional yoga practices, they do kind of do like a warm-up where you kind of build up to some of the more advanced yoga poses. Where hot yoga is kind of like a workout and yoga at the same time.
Look how much I'm sweating.
Yes.
I'm sweating from not moving.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Right on. That was a really good segue going from what it means to be a karate instructor to doing a warm up. Karate culture, karate bunka. Bunka means culture.
Okay, bunka. Very similar to bunkai.
Bunkai means application of technique.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, in front of me, Richard,
Mm-hmm.
you have, it looks like 5, maybe 6
belts.
belts that at one point were black belts.
World Championship titles, ladies and gentlemen.
From the Victoria World
From the Victoria International World Continental
Championship Cup.
Championship Cup. Yeah.
But no, you have some belts here that were at one point black belts and have now been worn and are just about white belts. I remember when I was young coming up and I used to see anybody with a black belt that was kind of wearing and kind of turning like, oh, wow, they've been training a long time. They're very good. I can't wait till my black belt goes white.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. And then you get the people coming up to you going, you're wearing a white belt. What happened to you? Or your belt's falling apart. You really get rid of that. That's kind of disgusting.
You can get new ones.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, this is the story of my 6 black belts.
Okay.
All right, so
I haven't heard the story, so I'm excited.
Okay, excellent. Then we will put a picture of them up. So this is my first black belt that I got way back in the 80s. So you'll notice that when I got this one, where we live, which is a very isolated place in the martial art world, and was definitely more so back then, you can only get a black belt that had a badge on it that said the Japan Karate Association.
Okay.
With the logo of the JK Shotokan.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that or what it meant. I just I passed my black belt, I get to get a black belt. And then I found out the Tokaido. So it's a Tokaido-made black belt in Japan. And it says the Japan Karate Association in Japanese, Nihon Karate Kyokai, which just said Kyokai, with the white circle and Japanese sun circle, which everybody knows what that looks like. And then I found out, the badge is for Shotokan, but I'm not a JK Shotokan person until I went to Japan. And in Japan, where you go into places where hundreds of people in the same room are black belts, everyone just reads your belt before they talk to you.
Yes.
Because and this belt, as you can see, has no words embroidered on it in Japanese because I couldn't get that done here way back then.
Sure.
And so people come up to me and go, so you're JK Shotokan. And I go, no, I'm not. How dare you? How dare you, sir? I have never in my whole life been so... No, I don't care. Good friends over in the JK. And they said, well, your belt is wrong. And I'm like, what do you mean it's wrong? And that should have been a hint that there were bigger structural problems with my karate. But so I'm like, oh, okay. And so promptly... went out and got, they ordered for me another black belt. So this one, the badge has actually come off. This is my black belt number 2. So this one said, it has the badge for the Japan Wadokai. Okay. And then in Japanese, it says, ready? Toddo Mosdell.
Todd Mosdell.
That's right.
Wow.
You didn't know that, did you?
No, I didn't.
And on the other side, it says Wadokai. Okay? So why does it say Todd Mosdell? Right?
Who is Todd?
Who is this Todd? My middle name is Todd.
Okay.
And but my first name is Richard. So until I was 21, hint, at school, I'd be Richard, and at home I'd be Todd. And the parents and family call me Todd, so that's what they chose. Richard was after my grandfather, but they call me Todd. But to be honest, I hate it. Not the word itself, but if someone says, "What's your name?" I go, "Hey, my name's Todd." They're like, "What? Tom?" And I have to be really careful. I say, "My name's Todd," like TAWD Todd. So I still live with it. Went to Japan.
You think that's bad? Try having the name Kalan.
Kalan. Well, okay, that did take me a while.
Yeah. Anyways, continue.
Okay, that'll be for next week. Kalan and his black belt.
Yeah.
So now here's the thing about Todd. Toddo in Japanese. If you say it fast, Todo, it means sea lion. Right? So I'd say to people, my name is Toddo. And I'm like, man, it's like in English, my name is Todd. Because I say it too fast. So your name's sea lion? What the heck's up with that? And I remember meeting people whose name was Todd who had been to Japan before me, telling me, just letting you know, your name sounds cute. And also, in Japanese, there's like clean sounds and guttural sounds. So like a to or a ko or an a. So if you think of Japanese names, like Kyoko or, Akira, these are like light sounds, right? But if you think like Daigoro, or these are heavier, like D's and G's and stuff. Yes. So Todo still has kind of a light sound to it. So anyway, still kind of drove me nuts until I was in the Nippon Budokan at the Wadokai National Championships one year, and Maeda Sensei, he was my homestay dad that summer. And that's on the cover of my book, Sunny Leads Volume 1, you'll see a picture of the Nippon Budokan. It's an octagon. It's massive. It holds like 15,000 people, 12 rings. I'm on one side of the arena. He's on the other side. I'm trying to be cool. I'm a early 20s, just from university, middle university, I'm making friends. And then he gets on the PA and goes, "Sea Lion, come to the head office." And literally people point to
that's Todo.
There's Todo right there, because only 3 white guys within 10,000 people. And literally people are going, and they're all ribbing me like crazy. And I'm like, oh God, that's it. It's over. I got to make a change. I got to make a plan. So anyway, get back to Canada and promptly I just tell everybody my name is Richard. And it felt great. And so then my next black belt. So on my next black belt, you notice in the katakana it says, and because I know you can read katakana fluently.
Yeah. Oh yes.
Right.
Yes.
This says Richardo T. Mosdell.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So I left the T in there because I'd made friends in Japan, so I wanted them to think what happened to Todd Mosdell? What happened to Sea Lion Mosdell? No, T means Sea Lion Mosdell. Okay. Then on the other side, and then you can see an actual Wadokai badge.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. And the interesting thing here, it still says Canada Wadokai. So I still haven't put the name of my club on it because I hadn't really had a proper club. I was still kind of teaching how to have a proper club. And you can see it's a little thicker training. And then I made a decision in around 2000 that I'm going to be a full-time karate instructor and have no master. I'm going to have instructors. I'm going to have people that I look up to. But I will now follow my own way. And so I got a new belt.
Belt number 5.
Belt number 5.
Which is the whitest of all the black belts, I must say.
Thank you for noticing that. It says Richardo Mosdell. And on the other side, it says Kenzen Karate Wadokai.
Okay. Yes.
Right? So, and the name Kenzen comes from when I decided this is it, I'm my own man. And I called Maeda Sensei. I have 50 Japanese names I thought might work for a karate club that sounded easy to say in English, and I was hoping it wouldn't be sounding too weird in Japanese. And of the 50, I circled 3. I read him the whole list on the phone, and at the end of reading the whole list, he said, Kenzen. Kenzen dake. Dake means only. Okay, because Kenzen works great. Yeah. And Kenzen was one of the 3 that I circled.
Right.
So then I phoned up immediately Hirota, which is a famous company that manufactures uniforms and belts. And Mr. Hirota actually came out of Tokaido and started his own company many decades ago, and promptly said to him, "Hirota-san, the name of the club would be Kenzen Karate." And he's like, okay. And then we had to decide on the kanji. And then my friend, Koichi Nakano and Shiga, decided on this kanji, which means, instead of, first, Ken can mean fist or sword, but he picked health. Because it comes from Kenzen Ichi, the mind and the sword and the mind are one.
Yes. Yeah.
Or the fist and the mind are one. So I could have put the fist one, but he said, no, put health because it's positive. So he chose that. And so then he called Hirota, ordered it. We got that belt. And as you can see, you noticed, it's my whitest of belts. And that's what it means to be a full-time karate instructor. So then got the contract to teach in Japan in 2004. And so they wanted me to get a new karate belt. And because, again, your belt identifies who you are.
Yes, yeah.
Right? So here, there's a Wadokai badge.
Richardo
Mosdell. It's number 6?
5?
5. This is 5. And
so many. Okay.
This time,
Sure.
where before my embroidery was yellow or gold, I switched to silver. And on the other side is the name of the school, Seiru Tsugaku Private School, Karate Dobu. Bu means club. Karate Dobu, the way of the karate club.
Okay.
I picked silver.
Why?
I had wisdom.
Okay. Okay.
So then 10 years. 10 years of that belt. This belt, the one before it, number 4, was actually, this one before it was only 4 years.
Whoa.
I did that. That looks
Just
like
well worn.
This is a well worn belt, right?
Yeah.
So that's 25 schools that I would teach at 2 to 4 weeks at straight. Then go to the karate club. Then coach the BC team and compete and travel. But this one was also slightly better made. And so that was 10 years. Sometimes I wore this. Actually, I wore the old one sometimes just to Wadokai stuff because I wanted them to read the Kenzen. And then when we opened Kenzen Sports Karate here in Victoria, Shureido is another organization. They gave Craig and I a gift. And it says Mosdell Richado, again the Wadokai badge. And then it says Kenzen Sports Karate on the other side.
That's
in
nice.
red.
Ah.
Because it matches our logo.
Yes.
The red logo.
Yes.
So look at that. Everyone's striving to get a black belt.
And here you are with 6 of them.
Here I am with 6.
Just a lonely sea lion with 6 black belts.
That's right. That's right. I'm a 6-shooting gun here. And I wanted to bring this story up because people ask me about my black belts.
Yes.
But
yeah.
also, and there are some people who are going for their black belt exam soon. And we're having one of the national exam sessions here at Kenzen on Sunday, November 27th.
Yes. Yeah.
So I've ordered a few black belts for a few people who, just in case they pass it this round or next round.
Yeah.
So we've had to talk about, actually shout out to Rodney Hobson, who noticed that I didn't give him a shout out last time,
No.
but I have to give him a shout out this time from SMAI Karate. discount. Who's going to get me the belts together. And so I was explaining to him about embroidery and stuff. And he's been very helpful. So there you go, Kalan. How many? So this is a long time.
That's a long time.
This is a long time of belts. This is
A lot of history. Those belts have been in a lot of places.
this basically 30 years there.
Yeah.
You know what's really funny is when I had my second black belt, I thought, oh my God, I thought when you get a black belt, you just get one for life.
Yeah.
Right? So I can't believe I ordered a second one. But the second one made more sense because it gave me more identity.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's important in life because, are you one of us, one of them? Are you an other? Donald Trump is really making that clear, right?
Yeah.
You're either the other, you're with them. But I remember going to Mighty Sensei's house and there was like 10 black belts that had turned white. Like he had all kinds of black belts.
Yeah.
So it's common that in Japan you might get a different black belt for a different event. For example, if you and I were going to nationals, and in Japan you can wear your black belt when you could for a while wear your black belt when you did kata competition and stuff. And for a while you could keep wearing your black belt when you were competing. You would get a black belt just to celebrate the fact you made it to nationals. You qualified from your city to your regional here, whatever, and you went up.
There you go. Yeah.
So like how I got a black belt just when I started working in Japan for 10 years and
Yes.
stuff.
Yeah. Very cool. So there it is. The history of Richard's 6 black belts.
Bum, bum, bum. Will there be 7? I don't know. This one's going to last me a while, I think. Unless I get fat.
Don't think you have to worry about that.
Oh, thank you for saying that. All you guys are going to be teaching. I can just sit at the desk with a coffee and go, hey, 15 more squats.
Teach more.
Teach more. When I was on the floor, don't make me come into that dojo and show you how it's done. Then I'm going to have to get a big one. There was for a while, I can't remember which one I was wearing, but I knew when I was losing weight and gaining weight because I would go through those swings depending on what I was lifting or not lifting, and the belt would get longer and shorter.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, with your belt, isn't that there's like that fitness rule, like don't weigh yourself, just go with like, your pant size or whatever, right?
Yes.
So
Yeah. Or how your body feels.
How your
That's what
body
I like to
feels.
go with your body. How your body feels. All right. Well, that is episode 9. This is episode 9 of Karate 360, guys. Thanks for listening. We just want to talk a little bit before we end here on some upcoming tournaments, things coming up. So we know this weekend, well, actually, by the time this podcast comes out, it will have already happened. But the November 12th, the Sato Cup is going on. And I know you're heading over there with some of Team Kenzen also heading over there.
We have ages 7 to 32.
Yeah.
That's going to be a great event.
Yeah, and Sato Cup has kind of traditionally always been one of the bigger tournaments in BC, so it's going to be really interesting to see how it happens.
6 rings at BCIT.
Yeah, it's going to be great. So anyways, that's this weekend, November 12th. Later on, near the end of this month, actually, the last WKF sanctioned tournament in November 21st to 28th is the AKF, so the Asian Karate Federation Junior Cadet and U21 Championships in Indonesia. And again, that's November 21st to 28th. The BC Open, of course, December 10th in Richmond at the Richmond Oval. And then also on that weekend, December 10th and 11th in Japan, is the 44th All Japan Cup National Championships. And then, again, the big one next year, Canada Open on June 3rd and 4th. Again, we want to talk about that, and make sure you go to karatebc.org for more information on that, or our website, karate360podcast.com.
That's right.
I think I got it all.
You did get it all. The Japan Cup is Japan National Championships. It's held on the first or second weekend of December on... I haven't checked it for this year, but on Saturday are the prefectural kumite teams sparring.
Okay.
So 47 prefectures in Japan plus the capital, and they compete at the Tokyo Budokan in Ayase, which is the northeast part of Tokyo. And I think I've told you about this. It's a huge martial arts center that looks like a samurai helmet.
Yeah, that's right.
Like a steel and glass samurai helmet.
Yes.
Then on Sunday are the individual events at the Nippon Budokan, which we just mentioned. And this is the one where Arakao Sensei and I would sit there, and whichever male kata or female kata started first, then we would challenge ourselves with guessing if it was Aka or Ao before the referee's particular.
Yeah, great thing to do.
So you know what, Kalan? Let's do that next year.
Let's do it.
Because next year, the BC Provincial Championships will be the first weekend of December, so we can take off the next weekend and go to Japan.
Let's do it.
Right?
Also, for any of you UFC fans out there, don't forget that our karate fighter, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, going for the welterweight championship this weekend at UFC 205, and we'll talk about that a little bit next week.
Fantastic.
Anyways, thanks for listening, guys. Again, if you want to get a hold of us, Karate360 on Twitter or Facebook, as well as our website, karate360podcast.com. I'm Kalan Anglos.
I'm Richard Mosdell.
And thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you guys next week.
San Rokumaru.